Men and women all over the globe are joining now for the best videos on the internet.
I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part.
And I'm doing my part too.
They're doing their part. Are you? Click the subscribe button now to become a member of the Action Pack. Would you like to know more?
Hello everyone and welcome. Are you a PlayStation fan but also love Mario? Well, as the Italian video game protagonist would say, here we go. Because Sony is giving that fat plumber a run for his money. I'm Mike, and this is Mike's After Action Reviews, and this is the After Action Review for Astro Bot. The Action Pack needs you. You can support Mike's After Action Reviews on our Patreon for as little as $3 a month. Every quarter, once we've made at least $200, we're going to be giving away 10% of our earnings from Patreon in a giveaway over on our Twitch, so go check that out as well. You can find all of the links for everything in the description and in the pinned comment down below. Do your part. Support the pack. The Action Pack. So, as always, guys, we are going to start with the game's production. Astro Bot was initially released on September 6th, 2024. The developer was Team Asobi, which you may know from Astro Bot Rescue Mission in 2018, and also did Astro's Playroom in 2020. The publisher was Sony Interactive Entertainment, known for God of War Ragnarok in 2022 and MLB The Show 24 in 2024. The music, which I just want to say, actually, this is like a small part that we usually don't get really in depth with, but the music was so great in this game. It was like nostalgic. It captured the spirit of the levels as you played through, and it really gave you a fun atmosphere to play in. It was really good. And especially there was times when it was like fun, but at the same time maybe a little bit sad with nostalgia about how gaming used to be and the great times you had as a kid. So it really did a good job. So the music was by Kenneth C.M. Young, known for Knights and Bikes in 2019 and Astro's Playroom in 2020. So, then moving on to the game's story. The main aspect of the game is the gameplay rather than the narrative. But Team Asobi has not left us hanging in this department. Astro Bot has a classic platformer story. Astro and his crew are traveling through the stars on their ship, which is a giant PlayStation 5, by the way, a great touch. As they go along their way, they are attacked by an alien that steals the core of their ship. This attack leaves Astro crash-landed on an empty planet and the crew and major components of his ship scattered throughout the nearby galaxies. It is your job to reassemble your crew and repair your ship so you can continue to explore the universe. This all happens within the first 3 minutes of the game and serves as a simple, short, and effective way to introduce players to your character, the world around you, and what your objectives will be throughout the game. So, then moving on to the core gameplay mechanics. The core gameplay mechanics of Astro Bot are platforming and combat. Like any good platformer, jumping is a key feature in the game. Pressing the X button does a standard jump, but holding X activates your laser boosters, increasing your jump height slightly and allowing you to hover for a short time. There are many unique transformations that you get as you play through different levels in the game that change the way platforming works, with a few including the mouse form that allows you to shrink and grow, the water balloon form that has you tilting the controller to move and also switching between a group of small balloons and a giant one, and one of my favorites, the Iron Samurai ball form that has you becoming a samurai that can curl into an indestructible ball and roll around. The level design is top tier here. Each planet you visit has its own unique design and offers its own challenges. There are jungles, deserts, frozen wastelands, and even an actually fun water level. And many more. The combat in the game is much like the classic platformers of old. Hit square to punch enemies, or jump and use your boosters to laser them to death. Where the game separates itself from the competition and pushes the genre to its fullest potential is the wide range of weapons. These weapons completely change the way that you play through certain sections of the game because of how they can affect traversal and platforming. There are frog hands that serve as extendo boxing gloves and allow you to grab sticky points to pull and activate puzzles. A rocket pack that lets you shoot forward, blasting through enemies and also breaking through walls and greatly extending your jumps. An elephant pack that allows you to suck up different liquids with special properties to use later. And even a time manipulation device that stops time so you can attack enemies and get through environmental puzzles. These are just a few of the different weapons that you can get. There are also special forms that you get that primarily affect combat and also serve as Easter eggs for past Sony games, with the big three being using the bow and shooting the bad guys like Aloy from the Horizon series, picking up pistols like Nathan Drake from Uncharted, and taking up the Leviathan axe from Kratos of God of War to cut down and freeze your enemies. The game's enemies are different hostile bots that are at times deceptively tricky to deal with. There are those that use spikes against you in melee, the jumping rabbits, the shooters, and even ones that pop up out of the ground. I'll be honest and tell you that there is not a huge variety of enemies, but the ones that we do get are varied enough to be a challenge and make each level fun. Moving on to the game's special features. The keynote special feature in the game is Astro's crew of other bots. There are over 300 bots to collect throughout the game, with 150 of them being collectible ones that look like various characters from past PlayStation and Sony titles. Collecting bots is required to unlock new galaxies to explore and new areas on the Central Hub planet. The Central Hub is where your ship crash landed. It starts out barren, but as you collect bots, it becomes decorated with different paraphernalia related to them. In the hub area, you can unlock buildings that give you access to different features. The Gacha Lab is where you can unlock new outfits for Astro, new skins for your dual speeder, and cosmetic add-ons for the unique bots in the hub. There is also the Safari Park, where you can take some interesting pictures in photo mode. The changing room allows you to dress Astro in the different outfits that you have collected. And finally, the dual speeder garage is where you change the color of your dual speeder. Other than the unlockables, there are also the collectibles. The most prevalent collectible in the game is coins. Much like the Mario games, coins are scattered throughout each of the game's levels. Coins are also found in chests and are earned by defeating enemies. Coins are what you use in the gacha machine. There are also puzzle pieces hidden throughout the game. Puzzle pieces are what unlock the buildings in the hub world, and collecting them all is required to unlock the game's secret level. One interesting feature in the game is the inclusion of a bird that helps you find collectibles. You can pay 200 coins at the beginning of a level that you have already beaten to use the bird, which will follow you and beep when you are close to an unclaimed collectible and point in its direction. So moving on to my final statement and review score. We are going to start off, as we have been doing in our latest videos, with the actual after action review portion of the video, where we do actual sustains and approves, which is what an after action review is. Great suggestion by Salty Skipper, by the way, that he said that I should add that in. Yeah. That's what I'm going to call the channel, right? Okay, so starting off, we're going to give our sustains. So the first thing right off the bat is the most apparent thing ever if you start playing this game, is that it has really fun gameplay. Very simple, to play and enjoy, hard to master, very accessible as well. So you can play through this game and probably not be the greatest video game player, but at the same time, you will not be able to master this game so easily if you are maybe not more experienced or haven't practiced so much with the game. This is highlighted especially in the timed trials, which are unlocked after the main campaign. I really did like this. It's very, I'm more into narrative games. I really like stories and things in games, or at least if you're going to have a story, have a good one. This game does something that I think, so the main purpose of the story and the narrative and the lore of games is to make you connected. In my opinion, what I really like about it is connecting you to the characters and making them cool. Like you might just have a guy, like let's say you play an action game and that guy's big muscly guy with an axe, and they never mention anything about him, don't even give him a name, whatever, and you just hack and slash. I don't like that so much because it's like, okay, who's that, But here, what they've done with as minimal narrative as they have, they've actually built up a lore around Astro. I feel connected to this character because of the way that they've done certain things, and I'll talk about that here in a second. So the other thing is, but I really appreciate. That just goes to show you how great the gameplay is. So with a minimal narrative, but the gameplay is so great, it doesn't bother. I don't need a huge big story or something. As long as they've done what I've said, they've made Astro cool through his little characteristics that you get in the cutscenes and different things that they've done. I played Astro's Playroom. I really like that. Okay, so my second sustain is... my second point about the fun gameplay is that they have the unique weapons and forms. I divided weapons. Basically, the weapons were things in the review here were things that didn't change Astro's core mechanics. They just offered combat abilities like the frog punching arms. You still jump and kick and punch like you normally would. But the frog punch arms allow you to punch farther range, while the samurai ball form actually changes the way you're going to play the game because you can roll up into an indestructible ball. Okay, so that's what those are. Those are really unique. I think that if you did a one-to-one comparison with probably, what is the immediate thing that people are going to think about as a competitor here is Mario. If you did a one-to-one comparison, Mario is a fun game. Don't get me wrong, it's been on top for a long time for a reason, but there's things that Astrobot does that Mario just doesn't do. Okay, and then also my third sustain is the love letter to PlayStation fans. This is a Sony title, and it's not just a Sony title, it is the Sony title. If you at all have played a Sony game, you're going to see things that are going to make you go, oh, that's cool, that's cool. And that's what I mean by not needing a narrative specifically, because you have a connection not so much to the character of Astro as like, oh, Astro's this great warrior or this whatever really cool guy, but it's just you have a connection to the game because there's so much stuff that you've played before that it references, and it just has a good time. And basically the nostalgic references to other games might get made fun of and people say, oh, it's a cliche, or maybe they should try to do something different. I don't care about that. I think that the game is great, and if it's something that you like, if nostalgia is something you like, if you liked God of War and there's a God of War reference, why turn your nose up at that? It feels good. It's nice. It's things you like. I don't understand that. Yeah. And they have, a simple narrative, okay, that is universal and has no controversy. Something that I've talked about before is that things should be universal. There's a bad guy in this game. They don't tell you who that bad guy's supposed to represent or something. It's just some guy that you're supposed to beat. Minimal narrative here anyway, but the big idea here is just, in what I'm trying to say here about this as being universal, is that, look, in your life, in your mind, when you think of a bad guy, whoever you think of the bad guy is, go defeat him and do what's right. That's what stories that are universal are telling you. Stories that are not universal is people who believe this are the bad guys, so go get them, if that makes sense. This game doesn't have any of that. It's just the simple, here's a bad guy, go beat him. So, all right. My improves. So, my first improve is that they could do more narrative. Now, I want to be very clear here. I don't think this is something that they did wrong. And I think that moving forward, if they make another game, they should remain light on the narrative and focus more on the gameplay. but more actual involvement of the different Sony characters would be fun. I'm thinking almost something like Kingdom Hearts, where each time you go to a different planet or some of the planets, you're not just gaining the powers of Kratos and using his axe to defeat your enemies, but you're maybe helping Kratos. Kratos comes up to you. Maybe he doesn't even have any dialogue, or maybe he does. I don't know. Depends on how they would do it. I'm not a game developer, but I am a critic, so I can, I don't think you have to do a thing to be able to say whether a thing is good or not, okay? Or have ideas of what could be good. But yeah, like maybe helping Kratos, helping Aloy do something, and then you have those two characters together, either through dialogue or just the, non-dialogue prompts like we've seen so far. That would be pretty cool. Add more forms from Sony games. I was trying to think of something like, so they have the ability to grow into like this giant sponge thing. I imagine comparing Astro, if Astro was like a 6 foot tall guy, the giant sponge thing is probably 30 feet tall compared to him. But yeah, being able to transform into things like giant monsters, heroes, or even vehicles. That would be really fun from other Sony titles. I'm imagining like a racing level where Astro as a robot transforms into a car or something, or a plane. We could have a lot of fun with this moving forward, and I think that it would just be good. That's kind of the way, a good way for them to go is you're trying to expand the features. But those are really my only improves. So, I really liked the game. I think that it's really good. Moving into my kind of final statement and review score here is, hey, look, I really liked the game. It is simple. And it's just fun that you can turn off. You don't really have to have super amount of focus and with a narrative and learning characters' names and understanding what's going on. You just play through it. And while I do really enjoy narrative games, I also just enjoy every once in a while playing something that's just no strategy, like a strategy game, like, no tactical strategy, no BS in the game as far as a story or whatever. You just get on and play. And it has some really great mechanics, and it really goes back to basics and fully utilizes the genre in which it's in. And also, the controller. I do want to say, tilting the controller, blowing on it, all the different features that PlayStation 5 has. This is a Sony title that's designed specifically to put all of those things into the game, so that's pretty cool. So, after saying all of these things, I think it should come as no surprise that I'm going to give this game 2 thumbs way up. A rating of excellent. I really liked it. Go check it out, guys. I know this review is coming out late. I've had a lot of different things. I've made some different changes. I know that you guys have probably noticed Thor and Iron Man are only here digitally now. They're here in spirit. And making that simple change was more complicated than you guys might have thought it was. I usually give myself a month. I know it's been like I'm about 2 weeks behind, and I really appreciate your guys' understanding with that. I do want to thank you all for watching and just say God bless you all and have a good day. Don't forget to check me out on Twitch and join the Discord where you can voice chat with me while I live stream, and you won't be recorded or anything on YouTube and Twitch, so that's pretty cool. You can also find me on Facebook and Instagram. If you like to read, you can see my after action reports on my blog. And if you are interested, you can get some merch from my spring store. The links for everything are in the description below.